Hello. I am a father of three kids. Megan, who is 20 and is currently in her third year of college, Mackenzie, who is 4, and Gabby, who is 11 months. About 2 years ago, I had to ban, about 3 years ago, I had to ban Dora from my house. And you might be thinking, why would I need to ban Dora from my house? Isn't that just a kid's show? Well, yeah, that's what I thought too. But it wasn't just a kid's show. So it all cuts back to about 3 years ago. It was Christmas time, and Megan was getting ready to pack up for college at the same time. So while I was trying to help her pack, I had to pick out a gift for Mackenzie too. So knowing Mackenzie, she wasn't really a big old fan of Barbies and stuff. She liked watching TV. Her favorite shows were Doc McStuffins and Mickey Mouse. When her favorite shows weren't showing, she would usually turn on the TV to Nick Jr. and watch Dora the Explorer. So I thought, why not get her a Dora DVD? So I was looking at the store, and if you live in Central Alberta, there's a local convenience store where you can find a ton of DVDs and other stuff for really cheap prices, and they're actually really good, except that DVD, of course. So I found a DVD that said Dora Map Adventures. So the title looked pretty normal, and it looked like it was going to be a normal episode. I paid for it. It was about $7. Didn't get a receipt. Went in my car and drove back home. I wrapped it and put it under the Christmas tree. The next day, we celebrated Christmas by having a Christmas breakfast and stuff. It was nice, and Mackenzie opened up her Christmas present and she liked it. But that was only because she hadn't watched it yet. The next day, I was helping Megan pack the car and her suitcase so we could take her to the airport tomorrow. But it was about 7 a.m. when Mackenzie came up to me and said, "Daddy?" And I said, "Yes, sweetie." And she said, "That was scary." She actually looked pale and like she had a fever. But back then, I didn't really care, although I should have more. And my wife, saying that I obviously know everything, which I don't, who's over exaggerating, says that something's wrong. And I say she probably just had a bad dream or something, which would probably have been the normal obligation, but it wasn't. So later that night, I dropped Megan off at our friend's house so she could say her goodbyes to them, and Mackenzie was sleeping at that time. So I was thinking, what was so wrong with that Dora DVD? So later that night, I went into the living room since she usually watches DVDs in the living room, so I didn't have to sneak into her room without waking her up and take it. I took it, I put it in my laptop, plugged in my earphones so she could sleep, and then I started watching it. I clicked it, and then the episode started. But something seemed off at the beginning. Very off. Actually, off will be an understatement. It was fricked. So, it started off with the usual Nick Jr. logo, but instead of it being happy and friendly, the big Nick was beating up the Blue Jr. I mean, how is that even acceptable in a kids show? So after that, it started with the normal theme song, but something seemed off. Instead of the normal couch, it was just a dark shadow. And on the table, there was a note that said in Spanish, it says, "Help, I have no one to talk to. Help me, I have no one to talk to." And they cut to the computer. The computer, it was wrong. It was not the normal green computer, and it looked like a white 1990s computer. Dora, it was only Dora instead of, forget it. So it was only Dora, and she was trying to smile as she looked depressed. It was obvious that she was depressed. The episode then started. The setting was in a dirty old house with toys scattered everywhere. Dora woke up and said, "Hello, soy Dora." And then she continued to do the regular stuff that she would do at the beginning of an episode. And then she pulled out a stuffed monkey and mimicked that looked so much like Boots, and she mimicked to say, "I'm Boots." Boots was a monkey this whole Boots was a stuffed animal this whole time. What? And then she's like, "We need to get to the big city." So the episode starts with her leaving her house, and her mom doesn't really care. And then we can see her walking down the street, and we can see a homeless man begging her for money. And then she says, "It's the grumpy old troll. Let's ask him his riddle." And then the guy says, "For the millionth time, I'm not a grumpy old troll, and I just need some money." And then she says, "Oh, we solved your riddle." And then she crosses the bridge. And in Spanish, the homeless guy says, "Burn in hell, bitch." And then it starts over to Dora ending up in a street full of garbage, pollution, and gangs around. She says, "We're going into the spooky forest. Look out for spooky bats and witches." While she's walking, a man comes up to Dora saying that he's going to cut her throat. Dora says, "Swiper, no swiping." She, the guy who was going to slit her throat, I think, pushed her down to the ground, and her knees were scraping and were gushing with blood from scraping the concrete. Then the guy walks away. Then she gets up and then looks a lot of hurt, and then she continues to walk to the big city. And then she eventually did make it, and she was around a tree. It said, and then she tried to sing her normal "We Did It" song, but failed miserably due due to her depression. And one more thing I forgot to mention about before she got to the big city, she questioned if she should end it all, which was even more weirder. Then she eventually says everything about how none of the adventures were real. Boots was a stuffed animal. The grumpy old troll is a homeless man. Swiper is a man who wants to kill me, and the others were made up. I didn't have any friends, so I had to make them up. And I found you guys. The adventures were nice, blah blah blah. And then it cuts to a 3 days later time card. It's the news, and then it's talking about how Dora, the beloved kids show actor of Dora the Explorer, had committed suicide, and that they would always be in our hearts after we left. Then the episode just ended, but before it was, I thought it had ended, but then after the black screen, it showed the goriest part of the whole show. Dora, her intestines and blood were everywhere on the tree. Of course, it wasn't going to be shown in the news because that's unacceptable for news. And her stuffed monkey was Rex, or Boots. I took the DVD out and I was like, what the frick what did I just watch? I actually had to watch it multiple times to see if what I was watching was real or not, or if I was just dreaming that because I was tired. Well, it turns out that it was real. So I eventually locked it to put it back in its DVD and put it up very high in the closet where neither of them could reach it because I would never want them to see that again. And after my second daughter, Gabby, was born 3 years later, I banned Dora from both of them so that they would never be able to see another episode like that again. So that was a story about why I banned Dora from my house. Well, hello, boys and girls, and that was Dora's real life. My final thoughts? It was an okay story. Not my favorite. Kind of changed it up a bit, if you can see it online. There are not that many of these Doras. I've only been able to find 3. One of them was deleted, and so then there's only 2 that I can possibly find. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and sweet dreams!